What's up, everybody? Good morning, and we've got a little bit more to go on cornerback, but this video is going to be a little bit different in that we are prioritizing a certain kind of cornerback. We are prioritizing the nickel cornerbacks because I think we all understand there's a different skill set, a different base of talent, different expectations for players that play nickel corner versus outside corner. So we had a ton of players to look at who can play outside corner. We're really not going to have that many players in the nickel cornerback category. There were not a whole lot that caught my eye. Now, understand that a lot of the guys, or maybe not a lot of the guys, but a decent chunk of the guys in the outside corner conversation can play at least some nickel. These are more guys who are going to be nickel players first and foremost. And of those guys, I just wasn't that impressed with the crop. So, nevertheless, we do have to take this potential need at least somewhat seriously. So, today we'll be doing guys who have a chance to go in the top 100. And then tomorrow we'll do sleepers. I will say that the fact that you have signed Justin Coleman to a certain extent, signing Burns, even though I think that Burns is going to end up playing more of a outside role on this team at this point, and still having Ugo Amadi and Marquise Blair on the roster. I don't know if nickel cornerback is a big need, but all of those guys I just mentioned, they're not going to be here that long unless they really impress this year. They're all, I think, the last year of their deals. So maybe we do end up spending a high value pick on a nickel cornerback this year because we know that even though this year's okay, next year not so much. So I do want to spend some time talking about guys who are going to go in the first 2 days, including one guy who's unfortunately probably going to go day one, so I'm only kind of talking about him as a formality. But understand that the best move might be to take a developmental guy in the third day and then bring him along his rookie year when he's going to have a ton of players in front of him. And then in 2023, when a lot of those guys, if not all of them, are going to be leaving, then you can maybe elevate that guy and give him a chance to play. So I don't know if these first three guys, the three guys we're going to talk about in this video, are of supreme interest to this team, but I want to talk about it for a little bit anyway, because to me, the nickel corner position is still something that needs to be taken care of. Okay, first we have Marcus Jones of Houston, another Houston product. Very, very small. He's 5'8", 174 pounds. Ran a 4.540, but he didn't run at the combine. I actually think he's probably a little bit faster than that, but I don't have an official 40 time. I believe the 4.5 is estimated. And his arms are 28, basically 29 inches, so not great. But for a nickel corner, it matters a little bit less. He had two fairly productive years at Houston. 2021 was the year when he really turned heads. He had 47 tackles and 5 interceptions, including 13 passes defensed, not 13 touchdowns. So he showed off some ball skills and some pretty good hands. Pretty much every big board has him in the third round or the fourth round. Walter Football has him much later. But I think you are probably looking at a late third or early fourth round pick for Marcus Jones. He's an awesome athlete in terms of his agility, ability to change directions, ability to keep up with an elusive receiver or running back in the open field. He gives you a lot of that stuff. He moves very well in coverage. His coverage skills are pretty good. He's very sticky in man. He knows how to stick to his guy in man. And he can stick with vertical threats even deep down the field. So you're not going to beat him over the top easily. He's physical in the secondary despite his small size. He plays physically. He's a good tackler. He's got those ball skills, 5 interceptions last year, very significant. And at the very least, you are getting a guy who should be an elite return man in the NFL. He's a great returner. The issues with Marcus Jones are that he is very small, 5'8". That's shorter than I am, 174 pounds. He's probably got to add a little bit of weight, and even after he does, he's still going to be very small. And because of that, bigger receivers are going to be able to eat his lunch. Do not try to put this guy in coverage against DeAndre Hopkins, is what I'm trying to say here. And likely at the end of the day, he is only going to be good in man. I don't know about his zone abilities. You're probably looking at mostly a guy who plays man. And that could be fine depending on what we're planning to do this season on defense, but it's something that needs to be kept in mind. Of the pure nickel corners in this draft, I do think he is far and away the best option, which kind of speaks to the lack of credibility of this crop, but he is probably going to be a late day 2 or an early day 3 pick. This next guy I hesitated to even include because, number one, he's mostly a safety, and number two, he's probably going to be a first-round pick. But the crop of really good nickel corners in this draft was so thin, I decided to toss him in because he can play nickel really well too. Daxton Hill, Michigan Wolverine, 6 feet tall, 191 pounds, ran a 4.3840, so he can blaze. He can blaze it up. 3 cones, sub 6'6", 20-yard shuttle, almost 4 seconds. So phenomenal agility scores. 32.3-inch arms, very long arms. And these things might be somewhat notable for a safety, but for a potential nickel corner, it's actually really appealing. He had 3 productive years at Michigan. 2021 was probably his best year. 69 tackles, 4.5 for loss, 2 interceptions, 8 passes defensed. The big boards, most of them have him in the first. PFF has him in the early second. If he slips to the second round at our pick somehow, which I don't think will happen, but if it does, even though he is mostly a safety, and we certainly don't need a safety right now, the value would be a little hard for me to ignore because I do think he'll also be a great nickel corner. And by the way, he can also play a little outside corner on top of safety. So you're talking about a full slate of ability as a defensive back. Very versatile player. And he's got great coverage skills. He's very fast. The 4.3840 speaks for itself. He's got awesome ball skills when he's in a zone defense. Great tackler, which is why he was able to do well at safety. He's very tough, and he has a high motor. He's always giving high effort. So Daxton Hill, if you get him, you're getting somebody who can play elite safety, elite nickel corner, and even some outside corner. So if he's there in the second round, even though we really don't need a safety, which is mostly what he is, I do wonder if you would look at him as a pure nickel corner and select him with one of those second-round picks. The issues with Daxton Hill would just be that there is some laziness with the way he plays man coverage. He gets beat over the top because he's a little slow to get his hips flipped around. He is a little bit small and weak for playing in the box. However, that would mostly only be a problem if you're going to play safety, right? If you're a nickel cornerback, his size is not going to be a detriment. It's actually going to be bigger than the average nickel corner in Seattle, I believe. So that is more of an issue for his ability to play safety. So the conversion to nickel corner does make a little bit of sense in that regard, I guess. But very unlikely this happens, so I'm just putting him out there for academic reasons more than anything. This next guy, however, is the last guy who I think has a real chance of being taken in day 2. And it's not a great chance, but it's Damari Mathis of Pittsburgh. Nickel corner prospect, 5'11", 196 pounds, very good 40 time, 4.39, 32-inch arms, decent, very, very decent. 2 decent years at Pittsburgh. He missed 2020 because of an injury, but across the 2 years where he actually did play significant snaps, were 66 tackles, 4 interceptions, 16 passes defensed. And because of that production, the big boards have him mostly in the 4th round area. Draft Network, ESPN, Walter Football, CBS has him undrafted. That's not happening, but I do think you're probably looking at like a 4th round grade on Damari Mathis, but he's got an outside chance at day 2. He's great in press. He mirrors opposing receivers extremely well. He's an excellent tackler against the run. He's scheme diverse, although I do think he will be best in his zone defense. He's got good ball skills. 4 interceptions over the last 2 years he played and 16 passes defensed. Pretty good. He's a great special teamer. If you get him, at the very least, you're getting a guy who's going to be great on special teams. The issues would be his lack of length diminishes his potential somewhat. Although, again, for a nickel corner, I think it's totally fine. I don't think his length is going to be an issue inside. He's just an average athlete overall. He doesn't have great change of direction. He has great straight line speed, but I don't think he has great ability to play in a wide open area because he doesn't have great agility and he is a little bit grabby. So that's really the only top end nickel corners I could find in this draft. Those are the only three guys who I think will be top 100 selections. And honestly, Damari Mathis is kind of a long shot. So tomorrow we're going to take a look at some sleepers at the nickel corner spot. But if you want to address nickel corner now or later, you may be looking at needing to do it by taking an outside corner who can play nickel on occasion. There were a lot of guys who could potentially have done that we went over in the previous videos from the last 2 days. But the pure nickels, a little bit thin in this draft. All right. See you guys later today. I will be streaming on Twitch. We should be doing more of the show. So if you want to see me play Road to the Show, come check me out over there. And if not, then I'll see you with another video probably tomorrow. Peace.